So we get started today by lying down onto our backs. And if you have a strap nearby, you can grab your strap. If not, you'll use your hands. And then take your arms out to the sides to a T. Open up the feet about as wide as the mat. And then gently rock the legs side to side. So that as you're rocking the legs side to side, you can feel the transfer of your weight from the inner edge of your left foot and the outer edge of your right foot over to the outer edge of the left foot and the inner edge of the right foot. So that the whole sole of the foot makes contact at some point with the mat. And you could even imagine, like if you had a tennis ball or a golf ball, that you're massaging the arches of your feet over that object. And then if your toes are kind of stiff, I find that mine are when I do this movement, see if you can soften the toes so that they make contact as well with the mat. And then come back through center. Keep your feet where they are, stretch your legs out in front of you for Shavasana. And then open up the feet just a little bit wider so you're decentralizing the body, you're moving it away from the midline. And feel how the back surface of the body makes contact with the floor. The back of your head, shoulders and arms, the muscles of your back, hips, backs of the legs, heels. And if the knees are bent, on the soles of your feet. And so we can feel this physical form of our body, which in yoga we call that the Annamaya Kosha. So Anna means food, and then Maya means illusion, and Kosha means sheath or layer. This is our physical layer of our body. And then as you start to bring your awareness inward, like we talked about on Monday, that sense of pratyahara, as we sense our breath, then we address a different layer, so this energetic layer of our body, which we call the pranamaya kosha. So prana being vital energy or life force, maya, illusion, kosha, sheath. And so we're made up of all of these different layers according to yoga philosophy. And of those layers, what we do in our yoga practice is we start to sort of diminish them in terms of making them lighter and lighter and lighter so that we can truly feel who we are, our true selves. And I think that we really feel that part once we get into the practice of Shavasana, right? Once we've moved our body, once we've, felt and understood how the energy moves through our body, how our breath moves through our body, kind of those thoughts that might be going through your mind right now, they tend to slow down or even we forget about them. And there's this sense of being. And as we get closer to that sense of being, we're moving closer and closer to that true aim of what our yoga practice is meant for, right? That sense of union with self. And so now as you breathe, steady your breath by taking a deep, slow, steady inhalation in through your nose, followed by a long, slow, steady exhalation back out through your nose. Deep, slow, steady breath in. Long, slow, steady breath. You repeat that a few more times on your own, paying attention to this more subtle layer of your body, the pranamaya kosha. And maintain the steadiness of your breath as you now start to centralize your body. Move your legs in towards each other as close as they'll go, and bring your arms down by your sides. Press forward through the inner edges of your feet, so your big toe mounds and your inner heels. And notice the muscular effort that it takes in your body to hold that position. And you find that you almost hold your attention more when the body is closer, sort of in this reclined but yet militant stance. And on your next inhalation, keep pressing through the left ball of the foot as you bend your right knee in towards your chest. And so here you'll either take the hands beneath the thigh or use your strap around the thigh or around the ball of the right foot and reach your right heel up toward the ceiling. Can you press your right outer hip down into the floor as you reach up through your right hip? And now bring your ribs and your hips just slightly closer together, so perhaps you feel a little bit more of your lower back making contact with the floor. Then slowly let go of the strap and or hands, reach your arms overhead and lift them so that the upper arms come alongside your ears. Can you keep your right leg exactly where it is? Right? Without dropping, lowering the leg, without straightening it more, without bending it more. And you find that that left leg has to hold even more attention as you release the support from the right leg. Then as you exhale, bring your hands either back to the leg or to the strap. Draw the leg in. And do you notice that the left leg can soften a little bit more? You don't have to hold as much tension when you use the support of your hands or the support of your strap. Bend your right knee, and then place the right sole of the foot down onto the floor. Slide the right leg forward next to the left leg. Is your right leg longer than your left leg? And then ground the right leg as you draw the left knee in towards your chest. And again, you'll use your strap or your hands around the left thigh or left ball of the foot. Press the left heel up toward the ceiling. And feel the press of your left hip pushing down into the floor. So you're using the floor as feedback as you reach the left ball of the foot and inner heel up toward the ceiling. And it's almost like you could balance a plate over the sole of your foot. And as you feel the connection of your left outer hip pressing down into the floor, right, that's going to be important for later on. The tendency is for this hip to move out in front of the body. And so we're trying to pay attention to pushing, pressing it down, moving it back. And eventually we won't have the floor to feel that, so we're feeling it now. Okay? Then from there, keep your left leg exactly where it is. Lift your arms overhead. Notice how the right leg reacts. Can you feel the back of the right thigh working a little bit more to keep the left leg in place? Okay, and then as you exhale, take the hands back to the strap or to the thigh. Feel what happens in the right leg once you make contact. And bend your left knee back in towards the chest. Slide your left leg forward. Feel both feet relatively close to each other. And then watch the attention of your mind as you open the feet up just a little bit away from each other and let the legs come out to the sides. And do it again. Bring the legs close together, as close as they can. Press through the balls of the feet, the inner heels. Notice the attention of the body, the state of the body. The mind has to be a little bit more present in the feet. And then release the legs out to the sides, and what happens? It's almost like the action of the legs turning out to the sides and releasing The same thing kind of happens to the mind. The mind releases that sense of focus and attention. And one more time. Press through the balls of the feet, hug the inner legs in towards each other, and then release. That's where the forehead widens as the legs turn out to the sides. Okay. Bend your knees, place the soles of the feet on the floor, make your way over onto one side, and then using your hands, you'll press yourself up onto all fours for tabletop. And as you're in tabletop, without doing cow and cat, just sort of feel the state of your rib cage, right? Does it move down towards the floor? Do you kind of start in this cat back? And can you find a place where the ribs move between the hips and the shoulders? And then once you find that place, you may notice that there's a little more tone to the abdomen so that it's keeping the ribs and the hips knitted together. Maintain that as you reach the left ball of the foot behind you. So before we had the floor against the outer hip, now we don't. So you'll take your right hand and pull the right outer hip back. As you pull this outer right hip back, you may find that the left hip sort of comes forward and down. Okay? Let that happen. Check back in with the abdomen, keep the tone there. And draw the right hip back as you lift the left leg forward. It might be tempting to sort of pull it out to the side. Draw the right outer hip back. Then from there, reach the right arm up alongside the ear like you did reclined. It's a similar position. Then as you exhale, lower the right hand, left knee back down to the floor. Now we switch sides. You're going to take the right ball of the foot back, take your left hand to the left outer hip, draw it back. Pull the ribs in. Then keep placing the left outer hip back as you reach the right leg up. Then without the use of the hand, keep firm in the outer left hip in and back as you reach your left arm out in front of you. Reach through the sides of your body, then lower the left hand followed by the right knee down. Open up the knees just a little bit out to the sides. Sit your hips halfway back. Walk your hands over to the right 45 degrees and then pull the buttocks all the way back and down in the direction of your heels. Then lower the forehead to some surface, whether it's the floor, a block, a blanket, whatever you got. And breathe along the left side body. And then inhale, return to center, walk your hands back through center. Sit halfway back. Walk the hands again over to the left side, and then pull the buttocks back and down as you release your forehead. Breathe along the sides of your body, especially the right side. Inhale, return to center. Walk your hands about 6 inches out in front of you. Tuck your toes under. And then come into a little bit of a cow back. Lift your head, lift your sternum, as well as your sitting bones up and back. And maintain the press of your hands as you elevate your knees just a little bit, like so that you can slip a credit card underneath your knees. And then push into the hands, reach the buttocks back. Maybe you can bend at your hips a little bit more, but without straightening the legs. And now send the buttocks up and back. Keep reaching through the arms. Chest is moving closer to the thighs as you unravel the backs of your legs. And drop one heel down to the floor, followed by the other heel, without the chest moving forward into the arms. So the arms are staying exactly as you have placed them, right? As you were moving into downward facing dog. And then come back through center. And then remember when you had your hands pressing the tops of your thighs back, keep that sensation of the thighs moving back as you pull your chest forward and your shoulders on top of your wrists. So still some sense of length between the hips and the ribs. As you exhale, lower the knees down to the floor, take an inhale. As you exhale, bend the elbows a little bit or lock, pointing them straight back. Then push the arms straight back up, lift up and back into plank, down dog. And then we'll do that again. As you inhale, shift forward, and then this time knees up or down. Take an inhale, exhale, knees up or down. Push back up into plank, up and back, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, glide forward into plank. Pull the sternum forward, take an inhale. Exhale, bend the elbows, hold for a moment, and then release all the way down to the floor. Okay? Point your toes with your feet about hip bone or wider apart. Straighten your arms down along your sides with the palms facing down. And on an inhalation, lift up into Shalabhasana. And notice the muscles that run up and down the spine, how they engage quite evenly as you come into your Shalabhasana. And then as you exhale, release. And you feel the muscles that run up and down the spine soften as well. And feel them engage as you inhale. And if you don't feel them engaging evenly, notice where you feel them tensing more. Right? Can you lower that part of the body? Can you bend less from that part of the body? And then on your exhalation, lower back down. Inhale, rise up. Okay. Notice the sensation running along the spinal column. Okay, so this is getting to know that Annamaya Kosha, that physical layer of your body. Okay. On an exhalation, lower down. Take the hands underneath your shoulders, press the palms down, tops of the feet down. As you inhale, lift up into either a low cobra, or continue to press yourself up into Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog. On your exhalation, lift up and back into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Pull the tops of your thighs back as if you still had your thumbs at the roots of your thighs. Inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, step walker, hop to the top of your mat. Inhale, lift halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway up. Right, bring your chin slightly down and feel the muscles along the spine engage like they did in that back bend. As you exhale, feel them release like when you soften back down towards the floor. One more. Inhale, lift halfway up, engage the musculature along the spine. Exhale and soften it. Pressing down through your feet, inhale, reach your arms overhead into Urdhva Hastasana. And then exhale, lower your arms down by your sides for Tadasana. Okay, so then from here, we're going to internally rotate the arms. So you're going to take your left arm, reach your left arm behind you, turn the palm to face in towards the body, then behind you, take the arm behind the back without the hand touching the back. So you feel the muscles around the shoulders engage in order to internally rotate. And if you hold it there for enough, you'll start to feel some action, muscular action. And then release, do the other arm. So you take the arm back, turn the thumb so that the palm faces in towards your body, palm faces behind your body, bend your elbow, internal rotation of the arm. Okay. And then release, left side, take the arm back, internally rotate so the thumb moves towards the body, then behind the body, bend the elbow without the hand touching your back, pull the hand actively away from the back, and then back through center, other side, internally rotate, take the arm behind the back, and then release. Okay? Stand in your Tadasana, and notice when you come into Urdhva Hastasana is the flexion, right? When you bring the arms overhead, is that a little easier after doing internal rotation? On your exhalation, fold forward into Uttanasana, forward bend. Inhale, bend your knees, look forward. On the exhale, step or jump to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, low cobra, upward facing dog. Exhale, up and back into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Broaden the soles of your feet, right? So you can kind of Pick up the outer edges or the inner edges of your feet and spread whatever part of the foot makes contact with the floor. And inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, step walk hop to the top. Inhale, lift halfway up, feel the muscles along the spine engage. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift your arms overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, lower your arms down for Tadasana. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, fold into Uttanasana. Inhale, lift halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step or hop to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, low cobra up dog. Exhale, up and back into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Broaden the soles of your feet. And feel the relationship of your arms overhead. And this time your arms are weight bearing, right? So it's much different as, ooh, that was a big one. I hope you can still hear me, I have no idea. Feeling the bearing of the weight. As you inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, step, walk, or hop to the top. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift your arms overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, lower your arms, Tadasana. Inhale, lift your arms, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, fold into Uttanasana. Inhale, lift halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step or jump to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, low cobra up dog. Exhale, up and back into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Lift the sitting bones up and back. And then maintain the steadiness of your breath. Deep, slow, steady in breath, followed by long, slow, steady out breath. Inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, step, walk, or hop to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift your arms overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, lower your arms down for Tadasana. Okay, so grab a surface to stand on. So that could be a bolster, or a block, or a blanket, or your shirt, whatever. Just stand on something. And then if you want to have like a chair or a wall nearby, then you can do that for balance. Okay, I'm going to stand on the other side. Okay, and so this just gives your foot different feedback to work. Your right leg, you'll swing the right leg a little bit, so you can flex the foot in case like if you're pointing, you might not make it. But allow the right leg sort of dangle from the hip. Okay. And then from there, you're going to take your left hand right to the outside of your hip, right? To the side. And pull the outer left hip in, right? So I lift up, and then I push back out. And I lift up, and back out. Woo. And I lift up. So every time you're pushing out, you can see that the pelvis is sort of misaligned, right? Or maybe not misaligned, but it's tilting to the side, okay? And then from there, now the pelvis is upright, right? The outer hip muscles are supporting the pelvis. From there, lift the right knee up, okay? And does the left leg have to work a little bit harder? Take both of your arms out to the sides. Good. Internally rotate, so the thumbs point down, the palms face behind you. Take the arms behind you, bend the elbows, try not to touch the hands or the lower back. One hand is going to be in front of the other. So then switch the positions. Hold there for a breath, like my leg is externally rotating, my body is not understanding, right? And then take the arms out to the sides, lower the leg, and we switch sides, okay? So it's fun to sort of be able to observe what happens, right? As my mind is concentrating on one thing, something entirely different is happening on the other side of my body. Okay, so stand with your right foot, okay? Swing the left leg a little bit. We can all imagine that we're on a beach. Aren't those the days? Okay. And then this can feel kind of nice too after all that work in the outer hip. Okay, then we come back to center. Take the right hand to the outer right hip, and then push the right hip down towards the standing foot, and then let the leg come out to the side. The right leg really is stopped, right? You're not really doing too much with the left leg right now. And then press the right outer hip back. And again, firm in, hug in, push back out. One more, hug in. This time you're gonna stay with the outer right hip hugging in, lift the left knee up. Good, okay? Then you take your arms out to the sides. And if you're holding on to something, then you hold on with that hand and just internally rotate the other hand. But if you have both hands free, internally rotate so the thumbs point down, take the arms behind you, okay? Bend the elbows, try not to touch the hand, the forearm, or your lower back. And then change the position of the hands, okay? Notice if something else happens in the body, such as mine. Firm your outer right hip. Then release the arms. Good. Release the left leg down. And then you can move that surface aside. Come to stand at the top of the mat with your blocks turned up to the tallest height. Okay? And then stand with your feet about hip bone distance apart. You'll take a large step back with your right foot and keep the feet hip bone distance apart, right? So you're not traveling on a single line, but the right hip is in front of the right foot, and then the left hip is behind your left foot. And then you're going to hug the inner legs in together, so that sense of a tension that we felt at the beginning of the practice, right? We could hug the legs in Tadasana, Supine Tadasana, and now the legs are hugging in here. As you inhale, lift the arms overhead. After all that internal rotation, do you feel that there's more range overhead? As you exhale, this left hip is going to pull back as you bring the chest forward. And the muscles along your spine slow down this movement as you come forward. And now the arms will come down, support them, but keep the spine moving forward. Okay? So that this feels like Ardha Uttanasana. And then you'll let go of the muscles of the spine, the work of the muscles, as you soften over the front leg. And then you'll find that work again. Inhale, lift up as high as you need to until you feel the muscles running along the spine engage. Until you feel low cobra in your spine. And then exhale, fold forward until you feel Uttanasana in your spine. One more, inhale, halfway up. Ardha Parsvottanasana. Your left hip is pulling back, right? It's like that left hip, we're on the floor. And exhale, fold forward. Left hip is still pulling back as you fold forward. And inhale, come halfway up again, bend your left knee. You can take those blocks out in front of you and step your right foot forward, hip bone distance apart. Lift and spread your toes and the soles of your feet. Then hands to hips as you come all the way up to stand. And then the other side. Step your left foot back. So keep the heels hip bone distance or wider apart. Hug the inner legs, right? So as you hug the inner legs in, you might notice, right, that the pelvis is coming forward and this right outer hip is pulling back, right? If you take your hand to the back of your hip, see if you can feel what you felt at the beginning of class, pushing down into the big toe and pulling that hip back into the hand. That's good feedback right there, okay? And then maintain that. Inhale, lift your arms overhead, pull the right outer hip back. Feel how energized and how active your right leg is as you reach halfway forward, right? The spinal muscles are holding you up against gravity. They're slowing down the action. Then you lower the hands, but keep the muscles of the spine active. Pull the chest forward and away from that right hip. Keep pulling the right hip back into the imaginary floor. On an exhalation, fold forward. Release the muscles of the spine. You do that again. Inhale, lift halfway up. Ardha Parsvottanasana, half pyramid pose. And as you exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway up. Ardha Parsvottanasana. Exhale and fold. And inhale, lift halfway up. Come onto the ball of the left foot as you bend your right knee, step the blocks forward, step your left foot forward, and then open up your feet to about as wide as your mat as you fold over your legs. And then you can support your head, you can support your arms, right? You can be creative. Breathe into the lower back, middle back, upper back. So coming back into that inward sense, right? Turning inward, Pratyahara, to move into this energetic layer of our body, the Pranamaya Kosha. And feel how your breath expands you in all directions. Can you widen the soles of the feet against the mat? Widen the space between your toes. And then this broadening action that you felt in the feet, can you translate that up into the space of the lower back and the sacrum and expand across the lower back, expand across the middle back, expand across the upper back, all the way up into the base of the neck and head. Okay, and then fingertips back to floor blocks or your support. Lift halfway up. Okay, shift back into your heels if you're not already there. Hands to the hips. Pull your heels down into the floor as you lift your torso up to stand. And then stand in your Tadasana with the feet relatively close together. Okay, arms down by your sides. Take your right arm back in space. Internally rotate the arm. Bend the elbow, try not to touch the back. Okay? Feel how the front of the shoulder reacts to this movement. The more we strengthen internal rotation of our shoulder, the better we are at lifting the arm overhead. This is very interesting. Okay, hold that for another breath. And then we're going to see, release the right arm, lift the right arm overhead, lower the right arm down, right? So you felt that the mechanics of the right shoulder. Now lift the left shoulder up. Does it move as smoothly? Is it as spacious? Okay, lower the left arm down. Internally rotate the arm, take it behind you. Bend the elbow. Pause there. Pull your ribs back and then pull the forearm back. Take another breath there. Maybe the body's shaking. Okay, then release the left hand. Give it a moment. Then inhale, lift the left arm overhead. Right, did the quality change? It's incredible. I love it. Okay, and then lower the left arm down. So if you have trouble lifting your arm overhead, right, we try to do more of it. Don't do more of it, do more of this. Okay, and then check. You check yourself. Okay, open up your feet to about hip bone distance apart again. Take your blocks so that they're a little bit further out in front of you. Okay. And then your right foot, step the right foot behind you. Take your left hand to your left hip, pull the left hip back so that the right side of the hip is pointing forward or near forward. Okay. Then from there, keep the upper body long, start to hinge forward. Then from there, pull the left outer hip back. Maybe the right fingertips come down to this block. And lift the right leg away from the floor. Push straight back through the right heel. Then maybe take the left hand to that left hip. And can you pull the left hip up into your left palm? And it's okay, you're going to wobble more as I cue. Push your left heel down into the floor and lift the left hip up into your hand. And you're going to feel off balance and you're maybe going to lose your balance because of the fact that you connect with your body, because of the fact that you can feel yourself in space and try out these movements, right? So that means that you have a deeper connection with your body, not that you can do this and not fall down. Okay, and then you'll bend your left knee, bring the right leg back down behind you. Inhale, come on up. Step the right foot forward. Other side. Okay, take the right hand to the hip. Press the right hip gently back. Fold forward. Okay, maybe those left fingertips come down. Pull the right outer hip back. Lift the left leg up. So this right thigh bone is drawing back. And then take the right hand to the right outer hip. Push the hip up. Can you feel that as you're pushing the right hip up, right, that there's a little rolling action happening in the pelvis? And now actively draw the right heel, the center of your right heel down into the floor as you pick the right hip up into the palm of your hand. Okay? And then as you exhale, lower that left foot down, bend the right knee, inhale, come on up. And then step the left foot forward. Okay, so you can practice that again, or Virabhadrasana 3, Warrior 3. Take the right leg behind you, lift your arms overhead, maybe there's more space, okay? Then tip forward, pull the ribs slightly in towards your hips as you reach forward through the arms, reach back through the right leg, pull the left hip back, and lift the left hip up. Take another breath there, and then inhale, come all the way up. Release the arms all the way down. Switch sides. Widen the sole of your right foot. Take the left foot back. Inhale, lift your arms overhead. A little tone to the abdomen. And then tip forward. Reach the chest forward. Reach the arms forward. Right? Stand in attention like you did in Tadasana. Push the right outer hip up as you press the right heel down. And then as you inhale, lift all the way back up. Release the arms down as you place the left sole of the foot onto the floor. Widen your feet and stand in Tadasana. And feel how your breath moves through your body after such a demanding posture. Notice how your breath moves, the state of your mind. It's hard to think of other things when I'm kind of barking things, right? Push your heel down, do this. But it helps, right? That's what's helping to rein in, right? This next part of the limbs of yoga, right? Rein in the attention, the focus, so that extraneous thoughts can't take us away from our practice. They're not allowed in. There's too much going on in the physical and the energetic body. Okay, inhale, lift the arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana, forward bend. Inhale, lift halfway up. And then exhale, step back into downward facing dog. Feel downward facing dog in your shoulders. Was it a smoother transition here? Maybe there's less sensation in the back in downward facing dog after the shoulder work. And as you exhale, lower the knees down to the floor. Okay. Press yourself halfway back. Walk the hands over to the right 45 degrees. Pull the hips back and down, back to lateral child's pose. Soften the forehead down to a surface. Then inhale back through center. Right, sit halfway back. Hands walk over to the left 45 degrees. Pull the buttocks back. Soften the forehead down. Inhale back through center. Okay, now you can come down onto your back. And take your arms out to the sides. This time you'll shift your hips over to the right a few inches. Place the hips down on the mat as you pull your knees in. Try to pull the knees in pretty close, just like you were in child's pose, Then take the knees over to the left. Soften your feet down to the floor, or maybe you've got a blanket or a bolster. Take the left hand on top of your right outer knee or thigh, and then take the right arm out to the side. So you're not pushing the top leg down, but rather letting the weight of your hand rest on the outer leg, as your left elbow acts as an anchor, right? The left elbow is heavy. And release your left hand. Take your feet back to center, hips to center. And then shift your hips over to the left edge of your mat. Pull your knees into your chest. Little tiny child's pose ball. And then lower to the right. And again, take your right palm of the hand over the outer thigh or knee. Let your feet soften. And your right elbow becomes the anchor. And release your right hand. Unwind back to center. Pause for a moment. And cross your right ankle past the top of your left thigh. Stay here. Use your strap or your hands. Flipped pigeon. Support your legs. Lean a little bit to the left. Return to center and place your feet down. Feel the soles of the feet broad against the mat. And then left ankle past the top of the right foot, or right thigh rather. Draw your right knee in. Support your legs. Lean to the right. Return to center. Place the feet softly onto the floor. The feet be broad. And then evenly draw both knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a little rock side to side. And come back to center. Softly place the feet back onto the floor. And then slide them forward for Shavasana. Use any props that you'd like for your Shavasana. Anything that's in your way, gently slide that out of your way so that you can rest without perceiving anything around you to the best of your ability. And feel the physical body, the Anamaya Kosha, drop into the mat. And your breath exploring the Pranamaya Kosha, the energetic body. And noticing if you feel that some of those layers of yourself have become lighter, softer, so that you feel this inner connection with who you are. Shavasana. Deepen your breathing. Wiggle your fingertips and your toes. On an inhalation, lift your arms overhead, reach through the heels. As you exhale, soften your legs, release your arms by your sides. Bend your knees, place your feet on the floor, and then roll to one side. Take a moment to feel the back surface of the body lift and spread away from the floor. And then using your hands, gently press yourself up into a comfortable seated position. And then take your hands in front of your heart. Touch your thumbs to your heart to uplift it. And we'll seal our practice with the sound of Om. Inhale in through your nose. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. I bow in honor to the light and the teacher within you all. Namaste.